just walking around, and I feel drawn towards it. Looked like a lump of coal. It was shungite, and I touch it. And have you ever had the people that, back in the day, they would do the cracked egg trick on your head, and they would make it feel like somehow they would get that response, and you'd get the shivers from the head down.
Yeah.
I touched the piece of shungite, and instantly it went all the way down my whole body, and I just felt like relaxed and calm, and I was like, holy shit. This stuff is real. There's something to it. Like, there's got to be something to the different charges, or I don't know. I know it's definitely blown out of proportion, by folks trying to push the stones on people. But there's got to be something to it,
Yeah, like what are...
Like bathing in the Dead Sea, all that salt, ionization.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
100%. Like, you ever sauna?
Oh yeah.
An ice bath?
Yeah.
I bought an ice bath because like when Joe Rogan and this guy and then like holy shit, that's like 30 people that just said they do this thing, and I kind of like their energy.
Oh yeah.
So
like self-improvement all the time. How do we be better?
And like the fad last winter was like an ice bath. So I bought an ice bath because I was like, gotta be something to it. And like it reset the day. It forces you to take 100 slow, deep breaths over the course of 3 minutes.
Well, it gets you high. Legitimately.
Oh God, yeah, exactly.
Did the polar plunge a couple times into the ocean,
and
it's like you're just on a cloud for like the next 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
In my world, I went and I treated myself to like coffee and donuts after. I'm like screwing myself up. Like, come on, you just got your body to this point of feeling awesome, and then it's like Boston cream. Come on, it's the worst. But,
yeah, we do the same thing with like with a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh man, it was such a high, But sometimes you kind of like, when you're riding a high from like a hot summer day down on the beach, to like continue the high is to have a beer, to like then just be chill with a sunset, But if you work, you want to continue doing, what high do you want to run,
Well, that's the thing. Oh man, that's a good segue. Everybody's working too much, and we're getting like the gratification from the work, and so it feels good because we're working. Like there's that gratification from seeing progress on your work, and then you work so much that you don't even understand the gratification from other things. So you just keep leaning into the gratification from work and progress being made, and before you know it, you're sick and burnt out and stressed and miserable. And that's like the whole ag industry right now. I feel like we don't know how to treat ourselves to nothing. We don't take time to actually decompress and enjoy and practice self-care, and we keep on going into that like dopamine hit of getting work done because it feels good. But when you don't, I don't know if you, I don't want to assume, but when I sit down and like try to watch a movie, I should be doing something else while I'm watching the movie to make it productive time. It's like, that's sick, man, dude. Why can't we just enjoy like the little highs of a sunset like you're talking about? Or what I've been doing mostly is just staring at my dogs, just laying outside, taking it in with them, trying to force myself to not do anything. I don't know.
There's a I thought it was right here at hand. But there's Winston Churchill. He wrote a book about painting as a pastime. Just because he was Woodrow Wilson. Well, no, Winston Churchill.
I bet he was better than George Bush.
But he was a general, and he has a book about painting as a pastime. Now, I haven't read the book, but the intro talks about how you need to have a pastime, and you need to he even suggests like speaking or reading in another language.
Unlock that part of the brain.
Unlock the part of the brain. And so yeah, like if he suggests such a thing, to the point that he wrote a book about it. Dude, that's a busy man. He wrote a book about painting. That point that he was trying to portray was fucking, well, I started picking up a pastime.
You gotta be more than one-dimensional. You can't just be the same droning on and on about one thing.
Yep.
Like, get a life.
Get a
That's
life.
what I'm trying to tell
Dude,
folks.
there's people that make a life about clock repair as a hobby.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Well, it's like that actor. I don't remember his name, but they always talk about him going and starting to be a shoe repairman. What do you call it?
Cobbler?
Cobbler, yeah. That famous actor, not Javier Bardem. There Will Be Blood guy. Isn't There Will Be Blood, right?
No.
He's like a character actor, and he just gets out of the business and goes and becomes a cobbler. Just do something. Why do you need to keep acting? I mean, he's got enough money. He doesn't have to keep working, so he can take a decade and learn how to be a cobbler. But I don't know, just find a passion again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's twisted.
Uh-huh.
People work themselves into not even knowing what they enjoy anymore.
Ooh, I can get there easy.
Well, especially mid-season, you got hives all over the place to check in on.
Yeah.
I mean, how many different people are you partnering with? How many hives you got out there?
I have about 200 hives spread across like a million different places, and yeah, it's crazy. And then, well, I think one of the reasons why people do that or aren't experimenting with the hobby is because of the phone.
Oh yeah.
Contributing,
Oh, this is filling.
get off the damn phone, kids!
This is filling all the space.
Yeah. Yeah, like the cheap dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like 2 years ago, I was on it. It's like Facebook is a hell of a drug. I think it's like, I've never had any really bad drugs, but like I have been on the phone for an entire morning to the point of like, should I go to like an NA meeting but for phones?
Yeah.
So I've been there, addicted to it. And what's it called? It was like Theo Vaughn. He was an alcoholic, and it's like, all right, how did he get out of his pinch? Well, he says the Serenity Prayer, and I think he went back to the church, the way that he wasn't, but. Huh.
He had a good point about addiction too. I heard him speak during a podcast or a video or interview or something. He was saying that it's like not even so much the feeling, but it's the control of your state. Like, so when you take a substance, you're actively choosing to be in that condition versus allowing yourself to just be, which is out of your control. So you might not feel good. You might feel like a piece of crud.
Yeah.
But if I take this drug, I'm in control. And it's the same thing with the phone. It's like, I've got this unstructured time, this free time. It's so scary to try and figure out how to use it. So let me just fill it with whatever it is. And then we can delude ourselves into saying it's productive sometimes, Let me read some news because it does X, Y, and Z for me. Or let me check my investments if you got them or whatever. I don't know. But really it's just not serving anybody to stare at screens. That's the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
If I could have known that the best way to support farms was from behind a computer screen, I don't know if I would have taken this path. I don't know, man, because I'm tired of staring at screens.
Yeah.
It's not good.
That's why we're doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to bundle the information, and so then I can just and give it to this AI. Chops it all up, blah, 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 blah. And I don't have to edit it. I don't have to think about what's doing the best. What I want is to connect people with something interesting. You know, like, why is the basswood honey different than the blueberry honey? Different than the wildflower? Different than Patrick's honey? Different than local honey? There's like 30 different threads that I have here at this table. You know? And because I explain pollination to grown-ass adults. Pollen is not honey, and honey is from nectar. Nectar is a plant secretion that the flower is using to get that bee to visit and visit again, 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 again. That plant is only going to secrete like 1/10 of what fills the stomach of a honeybee, because it wants that honeybee to go to 10 different flowers, because it's accidentally slapping some pollen on its back.
It's wild.
You know, it's not like this harmony, bees and flowers I love again. No, the bees are just trying to get the nectar, and the flower is just trying to fuck.
It's all an exchange.
It's just an exchange.
Everybody using everybody for
And then
nature's purpose.
We put bees in different spots. Like I got a friend in upstate New York that's got like 12,000 hives of bees. Yeah. So, and he has economies of scale with that. It's about my age, our age, you know, 12,000 or something like that. That many hives is 10 or I don't really ask that many questions. What's his numbers? Because then that gets a little personal.
Yeah.
Into somebody's business.
He's got a couple people working for him. Or?
Oh yeah, he's got like 15 people underneath him. I think it's probably
wild.
You know, a couple H2A visas.
And are they all honey, or are they doing pollination services?
Pollination services, yeah. So he will start in the south. All right, North Carolina is really where he's at. So like all my nukes that I sell, coming from him out of North Carolina.
Cool.
He'll take his bees and he'll grade them. Ones that will make it to an almond contract that he has set up for himself, where you need to have like 10 frames of bees, which means you pick up the box, there needs to be 5 in the bottom and 5 in the top minimum, or 1 full box in the bottom. For 99% of 200 hives checked, because you know the almond grower just wants his bees there for almond pollination, and you need a certain size strength of bees.
Well, if he's not checking, you can just dupe him easy.
Dupe them, yeah, and then people start cheating. You know, like you don't want that. So yeah, he'll send his bees to almonds, which I think is fascinating. It's like 75% of the nation's honeybees are in an almond grove during the almond bloom.
It's nuts.
You know, people. Then when I say I have 200 hives, and people are like, "Wow!" And it's like, you don't even know.
How many hives on the truck are getting shipped out? Like
it's probably like
5,000, 10,000 or something.
No, they're stacked up. It's probably like 500.
Okay.
4 to a pallet, 52 to a row, 2 rows, 4 high.
Okay.
Or 3 high, depending on whatever the flatbed is. Different guy, but I worked with whatever the relationship is. I did it once down in North Carolina, and just saw it. We were sending bees to almonds. We were just putting some mite treatments in, so that they were getting a mite treatment while they were in almond groves, because you're not harvesting anything from the bees, so you can use this Aprovar, which is the synthetic treatments that people want to avoid. It's not organic, you know, but it's least toxic.
It's a reality.
Yeah, yeah, and we were just putting in loads of that, shipping them up to almonds, and then they were going to come back for the nukes. Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling.
Logistics, all that is just insane.
Yeah, shipping bees across the country. My $1 million idea that I threw out just casually, and I don't think it's a $1 million idea. I think it's only about $100,000 idea. Still, it's like, yeah, okay.
What is what you got?
Well, if we really want to like help the bees. It's like, whose bees? I only have 200 hives. That's nothing. But we could bring in like breeding bees. Is really the solution. We need a bee that manages this varroa mite on its own. The bee handles it, so we can just put boxes on and take boxes off, and have a better bee. The way that I would do that is I sell the 200 nukes that I sell into the state and here to hobbyist beekeepers, and we sample them 6 times in the year, so that anyone that comes off above the threshold, an acceptable limit of varroa mites, they get mite treatment. And then hit their whole apiary would get mite treatment, and then a queen would be given to them, or they would buy a queen because that genetic stock wasn't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe amongst those 200, there's 1 or 2 that didn't need mites treatments. Great. Let's take that queen. Give me that queen and bring it to the center, and we'll graft from that queen. And if you do that with enough hives over enough years, we can breed a dog to do your taxes.
The same thing with downy mildew resistant basil or any other kind of plant.
Exactly.
There's not somebody already doing that?
It's just,
You'd think it'd be, yeah, well, that's so much fun.
there was one guy that did do it. He has a not-for-profit, Randy Oliver. Basically, this was Randy Oliver is it's scientificbeekeeping.com.
Okay.
He's got an operation that he just sold to his sons in his retirement. He does this science, and he collects donations from beekeepers to hire an assistant to run this study, for him.
That stuff takes time too. You only get a season.
So
Over and over and over and over again.
We did like a cost-benefit analysis, basically. He said he just did 1,000 nukes of his own. He calculated and kept track. It was about 100 additional hours worth of labor between him and the helper, and it costs about $150 additional to what his operation was already going to do. And while doing that study, he was able to tell his sons about certain issues that he found in this extra work.
So they're already flagging stuff that
So
they
they're
wouldn't
flagging
have fought.
stuff they wouldn't have fought. So like, wow, we would have lost that hive, but we didn't because they were doing that weird thing. So that saved us $200 30 times.
Yeah.
So while it does cost something, it did make something. And it's easy to, on a big operation of 12,000 hives, all right, you probably spend $100,000 in Apivar, or $100,000 in Formic, or whatever the mite treatment is. Oxalic acid vaporizer, yeah, that's really cheap, but it's going to cost you in labor to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so $100,000 treatment, instead of in chemical or in chemical applied labor, if you give it to somebody with a research degree, I think it would save that beekeeper $100,000. Easy. You would make more honey, you would lose less bees, and over a 10-year period, $100,000 investment would probably pay for itself.
Now, I don't know much about varroa mite, but is it just transmitted hive to hive, from colony to colony, or is it they just kind of show up always?
No, it's like a deer tick-like pest to the honeybee that lives inside of the hive, and doesn't jump to any other pest. So it's actually kind of not like a deer tick in the way that it only is on the honeybees. It doesn't jump to mice. It doesn't jump to birds for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
There are mites out there that might be jumping to rats and surviving the winter on rats.
So if we just snapped our fingers and said we treated every single honey hive in the country, not thinking about imports and exports and transmission of pests and disease and whatnot, but if we just snapped our fingers and every single hive, all the varroa mites got wiped out, they'd probably still find a way back, right? So like, where are they coming from? Are they in this?
Well, with every treatment, nothing is 100%. So you're breeding the mites to be resistant to whatever treatment you're giving them, always. Because there's always some that survive, and if that 1,000 hives operation would kind of like become a little bit of a harmonious relationship eventually. You would be breeding the bees, you'd be breeding the mites, because you're selecting against mites that don't hurt the bees. So you're never going to have 100%, which would be sick, even if we just got rid of them. But like, they showed up on, they spread, if that's what you're asking, by swarms.
Okay.
So a swarm, and it will move down. Like, the bees are only on North America since like the 1600s, and it was called like the white man's fly.
That's why I'm always surprised when people want to capture a swarm. They don't know where. Like, you want to capture your own swarm, okay, but another swarm ends up in a tree in your neighbor's yard, and you want to go box it up and bring it back. I'm like, you don't know what you're bringing back into your own hives, you know, and then you got a problem for years. You don't know what kind of disease or pest you're asking to bring on.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, if you're getting paid to do swarm removal, that's one thing, right?
Yeah, well, you also don't want it's also a risk. Yes, there's the risk of bringing in the pest from somebody else's unhealthy hives, and even if an unhealthy hive or mite that your bees don't know, you want to bring them into the fold a little bit so that somebody's taking care of them. You don't want to bring them into a production yard. So I do that, and I have the luxury of having a bee yard that I bring all my swarms to.
Just let them stabilize.
Let them stabilize, exactly. It looks like a nuke yard, and what I do with swarms that I catch is I just try to bring them into a nuke, split them, and you know, if they die, they don't make it, they don't make it. I'm not like stressing about them, because I know that mites take those hives way more often. They have all kinds of queen problems. So yeah, going into winter with almost 30 swarms, because this last spring I caught so many.
Wow.
You know, it was like the year of the swarm this year.
I wonder why. Just dry? Maybe they're searching for water, or?
No, they were, it was such a mild spring, so they were ahead of themselves.
Like, too much, too many?
Too much, too many. They were just, it was a great spring, and I was behind working them. Because you want to be like in front of the curve to get in front of their swarming instinct, to maybe split them or pull a frame of brood out.
And they make a new queen, and then you got another nuke you can...
Exactly.
Okay.
It's called equalizing.
Okay.
On April 1st, I wanted to equalize them to have no more than 7 frames of brood and bees. And I want to add honey supers. I should have been doing that on March 15th because we had such a more mild spring. So when I was showing up to do the job, I thought I was in front of the curve, and I was like, whoa, I'm on the curve. So when I was finishing, I was behind the curve, whereas like you want to be in front of the curve and then on it. I was on it and then behind. And then we slipped into a drought. And so the bees look healthy, they look great. But the the swarms got their treatments that in that isolation yard. The other side of the swarm that now the queen left. They need to make a queen. There's some problems that happen there because, well, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't treat them with Formic Pro because that will reduce the likelihood of the queen being a successful replacement. Because it's only an 80%. It's 20% chance you're gonna have a queen problem after your hive swarms. And well, I knew that all these hives were swarming, so I was looking for it, and I wasn't treating with the Formic, which would have killed them. And well, the mites leave, and there's a brood break in this hive that I was able to use the oxalic acid vaporizer once in May to knock them back, the mites wise. So my mites are way down. The bees are looking healthy going into the winter. There's just another couple yards that it's sad, it sucks when one yard of a customer has only 8 and they lose 3. It's fuck.
Are they mostly orchards, or where do you have them all?
This is just
everywhere and anywhere?
Anywhere and everywhere. Anybody that wants bees
Mm-hmm.
in their backyard, like a high-end aquarium in a doctor's office, I'll do that for you.
You have a high-end aquarium in a doctor's office?
No.
Oh.
But you ever see a doctor's office with a...
It's just oddly specific. You service in a doctor's office that's got an aquarium? No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. That's the elevator pitch.
Uh-huh. Well, and who doesn't want a nice beehive? And then you give them a couple jars of honey and say thanks, and then...
They get all the honey.
They get all the honey.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sweet deal.
It's a sweet deal. Well, they get all the honey. I make it's a yearly fee.
Mm-hmm.
So I know exactly what I'm going to make.
That's pretty sweet.
It's a CSA model.
I like that.
It's a bend to the CSA model.
And they sent on to know that if there's a really bad year or for some reason bad stroke of luck and the bees all swarm, then that's absorbed by the customer.
Yeah, you pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
You get a nuke in the spring. Don't worry. And if all of them die,
We'll work with you.
you'll get all new nukes, and it's the best nukes that we can get.
Mm-hmm.
Because I maintain nukes from my other bee yards, or I work with the Alex or Cola to bring in nukes if I don't have enough for myself. So, and it's just that's really where they come from. I'm putting the nuke boxes that we sell. Those are my replacements, just for the efficiency of it. So, because can't make my own nukes to supply, and then because there's 3 more steps, 3 more days involved, it's easier for my bees to my honey production hives just to be replaced by my honey production hives.
That makes sense.
Because the equipment's all wacky, and yeah.
Is there an upsell too, almost like agritourism, but on their terms, where your customers can buy the hive and the service? Well, they buy the service of having the hive on site, but then add on. I'll host a beekeeping workshop with you and your family and 10 friends, and they can pay an extra $500 or something like that.
Yeah,
That's a cool business model.
I have a corporate customer that I schedule with them. It's I'll tell them that I'll be there on Tuesday at 10:30, and then they put on their everybody get out of your cubicle, and if you want, Pat's in the bee yard.
That's
you can go
awesome.
hang out with Pat, learn about bees. And so I know I'm going to be there for an extra amount of time explaining what I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And price that in. It's another 45 minutes that I would have 8 hives. Would run through that. For honey production. You don't need to look at them so often. Because It's like, what are you gonna do to what's your gonna you're not gonna be able to fix that problem this time of year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the hives that it's always like before the curve is when I do those kind of customers. This is the before the curve kind of thing, and so we. And then I came out here. That was. What was that? Yeah, there's an upsell. There's an upsell to the agritourism aspect of it. And I think that's really where our familiar with like the zones
Mm-hmm.
and how like River Valley Community Grains, we should grow our grains out in the country. They don't need to be in our backyard.
You mean like permaculture mindset?
Yeah.
Zone? Yeah.
You know, and then like the garden. But then there's also like in Ben Falk's book, he talks about like where farms should be and what they should be doing, and like we're an agritourism zone for sure in New Jersey, and that's a big part of my business also. Like this little store, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I do free demos. Come on by. You want to fill a parking lot? Awesome. You know, I'll do a free class for you.
Well, and that's where folks can go and they can actually get sold on the idea that local food matters and local ecology matters, and you know, even if you're not filling up their entire fridge, they might leave here going, I should purchase more fruits and vegetables and meats and eggs locally.
Yeah.
So like there's room for everybody to help everybody, right?
Because like what's going on with what was or was a problem, or probably still is. I don't do business with people that there's no way that honey is sugar water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the honey that I buy in is like a buddy of mine. I'd consider him a friend. You know, if he broke his legs, I'd go help him out.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but there are, I think it was like in 2014, 400 million pounds of honey was consumed. 300 million pounds of honey was produced. So there's 100 million pounds of shenanigans going on, you know? And so local honey you gotta get your local honey, because it's when you talk to a beekeeper and they say, I'll bet my career that this is local, this is real honey from the bees, because like, I fucking did it.
Well, it blows my mind that anybody is still buying the bear on the ShopRite shelf, you know, no offense to ShopRite, but like, how are we still selling that nonsense when it's been proven it's imported trash? It's all just garbage, you know? Like you said, sugar water.
So it's interesting because I think people are waking up to that. I'd say kudos to ShopRite right now, actually.
Oh, I mean, I'm not trashing ShopRite.
Well, no, kudos to ShopRite. Like, I don't want to maybe not say this on camera, but I'll edit this out. A person that I know, his friend owns a ShopRite, and he knows this honey. So it's like, yep, George, get the good stuff in your store.
You can work with people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about relationships, you know?
That's what it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships.
It takes time. Everybody wants solutions to come around like this. You know, did you put a couple of years effort into building a relationship so when the time came, people know you, you have rapport, and they're like, all right, I know you've been working hard, I'll carry your stuff because you're not going to screw me, versus I'm Joe off the street, will you carry my product? You're just not going to get anywhere.
Because, yeah, like, they're not delivering, you know, and that's another person's job. Keeping care of bees and that mindset. It's like fulfilling the order is another hat.
Yeah, how do you keep up with it between the harvest, fulfilling all your customers and jarring it up and making sure they're happy, and then, you know,
I'll tell you how I handle it. It's Foods.
I've heard the name.
Okay. Well, the answer is I don't keep up with it. I have a couple people that are like, "Yo, Pat, I need some honey in my store. I'm empty," and so I'm starting to work with Foods. Foods is like a website, a store for health food stores, bodegas, anybody that wants to sell anything, food wise, to become and shop there, and it has Harvey honey on it. It has River Valley Community Grains, and it has like a coffee on it from the owner's brother.
It's just YA Foods, or what's Ya?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's two.
Maybe it's initials. Somebody's initials. Maybe.
Somebody's initials. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll ask Michael next time.
Ya Foods.
I might be pronouncing that wrong too, but it's. I don't know. He's a software guy. He makes websites. He's passionate about food. And so where does that meet? It meets at developing software to have farmers like me and producers like myself to just be able to like take a case of honey, slap a sticker on it, and then put it in the mail from these people. And it's like, great. You know, he takes a cut of the sale because he's doing such a service. And it basically, like, I'm not going to hire somebody because he's doing something. He's working with a bunch of other growers. It's perfect.
So you don't have anybody helping you with extraction? You're running around to all these different hives and extracting for the customer? And
Yep.
So what is that, like 15-hour days during the peak season, just cranking it? Or do you have an electric?
Oh, yeah, I got an electric
You got it. I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
This for
yeah,
weeks
dude.
and weeks and weeks.
My extractor, I got like a 30-frame extractor.
Damn, okay.
And so for all these customers, the honey comes in and the extractor will be empty. Take that capping off and just spin it, and goes into a bucket, unfiltered. And just I'm able to rip through it. My I say I'm me. My dad is a huge help.
Nice.
You know, my mom and dad.
You got to get the family.
Yeah, oh god,
really.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's like my dad's workout. he leaves pretty sore, and my mom now has this new schedule where she works at the hospital as a nurse, and they're like 4 days on, 4 days off now, where she used to be like 5 days a week, and helping out there, making sure like this honey that's actually here, you know, I didn't even have the honey poured to get it to them. So
You gotta have help. Can't do it all.
gotta have help. Yep. So NOFA. What is NOFA? Plug it.
Well, NOFA. Oh, sorry, pipe. You know, NOFA's a community of people, first and foremost, that are committed to improving local food and promoting and supporting organic agriculture in New Jersey. NOFA itself, the NOFA proper, is a 7-state coalition throughout the Northeast. Northeast Organic Farming Association. Started as the Natural and Organic Farming Association back in the 70s, and started up in New Hampshire, Connecticut, Vermont, and then permeated the rest of the Northeast. So we have chapters in Massachusetts, Rhode Island,
Office?
New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York. New Jersey is the youngest, and so this year we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. And it's all built on that foundation of community. So it's the people, it's the connections, the relationships, the rapport. We can have 1,000,001 projects and 15 grants and all these events, but if we don't have a community base that comes out and shows up and supports, we've got nothing. If we don't have farmers that we're able to support, keep alive, and promote, when we don't have anything. So really build NOFA on top of that foundation of community, because as the organization has grown and shrunk over the years, you know, every organization goes through different periods of success or shrinking, you know. Community's always been there. So on top of that community foundation, we've got support services for farms, we've got community outreach and events where we're connecting folks with local food, we've got policy advocacy efforts to actually get good policies promoted in the legislature, not only locally, but on the state level and the national level. And most of all, we're just having fun with food. So, and it's got to start there, I think. We can't hit people over the head with, here's why it's important to support local. Here's why you got to spend more money on local food. It's like, no, let's just have fun and let them see what it feels like to be involved in a local food community. Because it's the best. Food people are the best. You know?
Dude, food people, I love talking about food. Just had this is episode 2.
Wicked.
The first episode was Isabel Ariache.
I'm not familiar.
She's an herbalist in Hudson Valley. She works for Blooming Hill.
Nice.
She has a face cream and a chai blossom vinegar, and she only talks about food. That would be a joke. She's not even like that. I said that, but yeah.
I'm supremely food motivated, so I could just go on for hours and hours and hours, and I think that's why I get along with dogs so much, because we like the same stuff. Right? I think you're smelling some old treats I have in my pocket. I don't...
And you were saying that there's
a little bit of liver.
You just casually have liver in your
Well,
pocket?
no, I had some crumbs from when I took my dogs on a walk. Just a little bit of dried liver. You can have it, Pipe. It's not much. You can have it. You're welcome. Your best friend.
You said that there's an event on the winter solstice. Was that NOFA?
So Mike Rassweiler, the board president of NOFA at North Slope Farm in Lambertville, he's got an awesome farm site. He's for a long time been invested in supporting the community. He was doing farmer training programs, you know, an internship program to try and build up, you know, other farmers, and a lot of notable people have passed through that farm. So every year he's made it a habit of hosting solstice parties, summer and winter. So back in the day, he used to have a summer solstice party and a big tomato fight, where you'd have the different farm crews saving up their rotty tomatoes. And then winter solstice, it's just, you know, a big bonfire, local food, local music. So it's a good time.
You're saying that, like, Stokes Farm, like Ron from Stokes Farm, or I know Ron. It's a like, but and like this other guy, Joe and Patrick Harris and me, like I would challenge him to a Rotten Tomato fight, and then we would meet up for the summer solstice party, and we would have this tomato fight.
Well, it was a tradition. They would have, you know, it would just be one all-out tomato war.
That's
so
hysterical.
You'd have, like, Fernbrook Farm would wear all red T-shirts, and then this farm would wear all green T-shirts, and so they would, you know, last man standing kind of thing. I don't know how they did it. I never made it to one of them. I only heard stories and legends of combat. But it was good.
You ever see the pumpkin chunkin'?
Like a big trebuchet kind of.
They chuck the pumpkins and says who chucks their pumpkin the furthest.
Oh, by hand?
No, it's like there's a
like
competition.
the big sleek shots and.
Yeah, remember like the big catapult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're shooting it like they need it. They're on a big farm because they're shooting it pretty far.
Oh, yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to shoot it here. I would hit it, you know, I'd hit A&B Bagels, you know, all the way about a mile down the road. If we chuck the pumpkin that far.
Was potato gun building ever a thing? I remember like middle school into high school, you'd always have some deviants and they're like, we're gonna build a potato gun. We
Yeah.
found this online.
Yeah.
And they built this freaking PVC rocket launcher that shoots
Yeah.
spuds at like 60 feet a second. I never built one, but those things are nuts.
Yeah. I didn't have a potato gun, but a friend of mine, and he probably had a potato gun, but he had a flour gun. He mashed up newspaper and all-purpose flour. This is one of the purposes of all-purpose flour. Stuffed it into a PVC, hooked up to a valve that he had a compressor filling a propane tank, so that charged like at so much psi, and then he was able to just blow 20 psi out in a second. You know, and then it close it up. Dust of flour. So when we were marching in the Memorial Day parade, we were shooting a cannon of flour to like at people. It would go like 20 feet.
Well received.
Yeah, it was hysterical. Well received. Yeah, it was hysterical. He was, how old were we? We had to be in middle school.
Dangerous. Shouldn't have been trusted with a cannon like that.
No, but we could be trusted with the cannon because he knew it was done properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if it wasn't done properly, like it got inspected before it was turned on in a parade by somebody that knows what's going on. Like his father works on boilers for a hospital. He understands like the high pressure plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, his son could do that.
It's in his blood at that point.
Yeah.
But no, we got winter solstice and then winter conference in January, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna be.
I know. Where are you gonna be? Overseas?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Ireland.
Doing what? Just to travel, visit, hop around?
There's a third cousin's wedding.
Wicked.
And I had such a great time when I was there last. So I was like, of course I'll come to your wedding. And then I'm taking 2 weeks.
Good. Don't do it injustice by being there for like 3 days and then flying back.
And so like there's those long days in the summer, but I'm gonna disappear for 2 weeks.
Do it.
And the store will be open. I have a self-service here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping that hopefully somebody stops and I show you the interaction because it's always kind of funny.
Total honor system. This whole.
No, not in the room.
I was gonna say.
No, the only the honey.
Okay.
Only my local honey, basswood and blueberry honey is out there.
I was gonna say that's very trusting of you to just leave the door open for 3
Oh yeah,
weeks.
the door is not open. The door's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But if I'm here, then
I'm not gonna miss a sale.
I'm not gonna miss a sale exactly. And somebody's like, oh, I saw. Sometimes if I'm here, I'll put the open flag out. Oh, I saw the open flag, so I pulled it.
Yeah.
And because they want the eucalyptus honey, and that's what they're on.
Is that like a very so I'm looking for like cult favorite among people? Like,
No.
I've never seen eucalyptus honey.
Eucalyptus. So it's. I don't know. I was just using that as an example. At what it needs to be, $25 because it's coming out of Australia.
Okay.
The guy that does the comb honey
Mm-hmm.
in Florida imports that.
Gotcha.
And so he said he had 10 cases of eucalyptus honey. I was like, cool.
Give it a try.
Yeah, put it on the invoice. let me put it in my store because that's cool.
What's it like?
You want to try it?
Only if you got some open. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, store's open.
Doing tasting and whatnot.
I do tasting and whatnot. Yeah.
You could probably sell people on like honey flights.
Oh, for sure.
Like come by.
For sure.
Got 5 or 6 different honeys.
Yeah.
This is the eucalyptus.
Just the eucalyptus. I made it into like a eucalyptus tequila.
Interesting. Sorry, Piper, not for you. Not for you.
I have some.
Interesting.
Right?
Never, yeah, I've never seen that anymore. Thank you.
And then so, I kind of do have a honey flight. I have a sampler box.
Okay.
You get
Oh yeah.
you get one of each. And when you get one of each, you get a nice box.
What's the invasion?
The invasion is knotweed honey.
Okay, I like that.
It has a it's crazy. I don't have any here. It's related to buckwheat, so it's dark, like buckwheat. Under a big under a light, it's like red, like Guinness. It's dark in the jar.
Wow.
I didn't make any of it this year, so I don't have any in the store. That drought that we had, so we were already in the drought a little bit in spots.
Mm-hmm.
The spots that the knotweed was, So then made very little bit of that this year. But like more licoricey. I had somebody mad at me for adding licorice to it.
They
And
thought you added licorice to your
yeah,
honey?
yeah. This woman was insistent that I added licorice to it, and I was like, I didn't.
What world would I do that and not tell you about it? Like, if
Exactly.
I'm adding licorice, I'm going to brand it as licorice honey.
Exactly.
Come on.
It was a non-issue because my tester was low, and she just wanted an exchange for the blueberry honey. So I was like, take an exchange. I'm gonna use this as my tester now. I need it anyway.
Which is interesting thought. So, is there anybody out there doing like avant-garde beekeeping for honey? Like planting a whole like couple acres in Addis up, and then just having just get weird with the honey, right?
No, yeah, dude. Let's fucking get weird with the honey. The weird that I would want to be.
Uh huh. What's this?
This is Italian honey. The farm across the street is managed by Korean monks.
Oh yeah.
One of the the land steward, I would call him. They were in Italy. He brought back a jar of honey, and a woman came in, asked me for chestnut honey,
Thank you.
and I was like, I don't got chestnut honey. The closest thing that I could have maybe is this Italian honey, because the American chestnut is extinct to North America as of 1930.
It's almost like menthol-y.
And I was like, but I have this. And she tried it. And she's like, that's chestnut honey. How much is a jar? And I was like, lady, this is from Italy.
Yeah, I can't sell you.
$2,000.
Give you a taste to give you a scoop.
Yeah, I can give you a scoop, but
Oh.
happy to give you, a free sample of it, but it's not for sale. If we were gonna get weird with it, with avant-garde honey, the American chestnut. How cool would it be to like fucking plant American chestnuts really close together, every 6 inches. For as many chestnut seeds you can get your hands on. Maybe not every 6 inches. Every
I was gonna say what?
every 2 feet, every 3 feet. Really pack them in, because you're gonna thin them.
There's gonna be mortality anyway.
There's gonna be loads of mortality. Just grow out all of the seeds in this one spot, and let them get them big. Harvest all the honey just before it flowers, and then harvest the honey after it's done flowering.
Do a little side by side.
Well, I think what we could do is, when you take blueberries, you have 836 acres. That's 3 miles round. So an 800-acre blueberry farm, there's probably not one, but there's 830 acres of blueberries.
Oh yeah.
Down in South Jersey.
Go down Hamilton.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's blueberry honey. because the bees were only exposed to blueberries at that time. You know, it's a bit more sweet, a bit more caramelly.
That's the thing. We would need acreage to do any kind of. What's your relationship like with those guys? They keep to themselves? And what is it about Sussex County and like orders of monks and sisters having farms? You know, like Genesis Farm up the road. They've been.
Dude, Sussex County is weird.
Sussex County is weird.
Not in a really.
In a good way.
In a good way. In a great way. Yeah, a weird New Jersey. Like
I love weird New Jersey.
Yeah,
man.
like I mean that endearing, because, especially in the monks, you know, it was. I think it was Irish. I don't know. I was reading it just recently, but it was a flourishing thing, and they specialized in agriculture. That's what they were after. That's what they were talking about.
Well, if done right.
Yeah, like the
cultivate some mindfulness, right? Instead of this frantic fear of going out of business and now running you into the ground. It's
yeah. So like, in the early 1900s. A group of monks, Catholic, I believe, Catholic monks under, you know, St. Paul. They prayed to St. Paul, and they told him to go do this.
So they started a tree farm.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like, no, it's not a tree farm. Now I don't know if that's the exact thing, but it wasn't always a tree farm.
Okay.
It's been a tree farm since at least the 50s.
It's probably more of like a commune type, where they're growing some for themselves and maybe some.
Yeah, whatever it was. Other than it's always been a Catholic monastery for monks. What it is now is there's 6 Korean brothers that are
Legitimate brothers, like blood brothers, or they're calling themselves brothers?
They're
okay.
monks.
Gotcha.
Monks brothers, yeah. That put on a Catholic mass there in Korean every Sunday.
Wow. And
so, like, for our Korean population, every Sunday.
Does it get busy? Is it big?
Not really.
Moderate?
No, it's not super busy. But those that are like from Bergen County.
Wow.
They're coming out here.
That's wild.
Yeah. Now it's busy for this week up until the Christmas out when they're selling Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm.
I have a wave from them.
That's awesome.
And I sometimes if mom and dad are managing the store, I'll go over there and have another table selling honey. And yeah, maybe they'll how many American chestnut seeds could we even get?
I don't even know. The
I
improved?
The what?
You know, the improved.
The improved, and the unimproved. You know, even. All of them won't die.
Mm-hmm.
Planted enough. That Randy Oliver study with 1,000 nukes, he had 52 go through the first winter without needing any treatment.
Save that 52, and next year it becomes
125, I think it was.
Wow.
And then the next year it was 200 something. And that was like 4 years ago. So this was probably year 4 or 5. I haven't read it since I read that original study. One of the cool things would it be is not 1,000 nukes, 200 nukes that I sell, all the hobbyists. But then those bees come out of almond orchards, they get brought back to the south, and then one hive becomes 2. They bring in a queen and give it to that second queenless side.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move those bees up to New York. Or anywhere north. So I know a guy in New York. There's a guy in Pennsylvania. He moves his bees from Florida to Pennsylvania. That's the migration pattern. Wherever your relationship is with the South, and whoever you have relationships with in the North, it's where you're moving bees to, because it's just more productive in the North during a short, intense. Is a shorter, intense honey season. Here in the North, as opposed to out in the South.
It's more efficient to get what you want out of them up here because
You're making more honey.
Bees have a sense of urgency to get it in before the season's over, and then.
Not even just that. I think the plants, like the basswood, is a tree that just produces a lot of nectar. That's how it gets pollination.
Gotcha.
And so they're nectar-rich plants.
Hmm.
But you take the same bees and you bring them to. There's also less asphalt. It's probably another thing, you know. It's that zone 5, your orchard. Most of the bees are kept in the orchard, away from zone 1.
Mm-hmm. I love that citizen science. You know about Experimental Farm Network down in South Jersey, down in Elmer?
Mm-hmm.
It's a guy that was on our board, now he's on our staff, Nate. He started an organization called EFN, Experimental Farm Network, where they built a platform for people to do citizen science and to share their breeding projects, seed breeding, plant breeding. So you've got all these different projects on there. And then once they're up there, it's easy to find them and other people who are interested in collaborating with them, or they want to plan out some of the seeds from that person's project and report back. So it kind of like democratizes and exponentially increases the reach of each project.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's so cool. And it's not like reaching out to any kind of funder or the government for a grant and doing the grant hamster wheel. It's like, no, we're just going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Chris Smith, we had him speak last year and earlier this year in March in a virtual conference. He's just doing ultracross projects with collards. And so he and his team just took hundreds of different varieties of collards that were saved seed from a variety of different people and sources, and just kept breeding them and seeing what they liked and what they didn't like, and they kept saving and breeding. And before you know it, you've got a couple of collards that have genetics from like 100 plus different other lines, and it's just a beautiful collard that they really love. And, you know, to go through a university breeding program
100%.
or a grant.
Yeah.
Not trashing that because it gets us good results, but at the same time, that would have cost millions of dollars. You would have had to play by the government's timeline and the government's rules, and it's like sometimes we can just do things for ourselves. How do we? It's a harder thing to figure out.
Exactly. Look, who's gonna pay the salary of that extra thing? That extra thing. I want to go take a day off. You know. But it's, that's why I didn't do this pollen study, you know, that I would have loved to do. But, I guess you're in the not-for-profit world. I'd like to, in the 2025 year, like, figure out how the sale of this honey is like bonobos. You know Bonobos, the sock company?
No.
It's like for every pair of socks they sell, they give away a sock.
Okay, I like that. Like Tom's back
Tom's,
in the day, right?
every shoe they sell, they give away one. How do I bring that model into Harvey well enough where it actually, because I think that would be an awesome thing, and this is the project that we're gonna do. This is the project that we're doing. I'm following 1,000 hives from California to the South. Where in the South? Why you want to put bees there? I'm not talking about it. I'm not gonna tell you every single detail, but south of Cape May. and then we take that one colony, we split them into two. From genetics that we really like, and we hired a guy to make the queens of the genetics that we really like. So that dollar is there, and we take those two colonies and we bring them up to upstate New York, and or north of Sussex County, and we follow them. We test them for mites this time of year and this time of year, and we plan on taking hopefully more than 52. 52 is what other researchers have done.
It's the number to beat.
It's the number to beat, you know. I'll write a little trash talk, you know, to Randy Oliver. My queens are better than yours.
Where's he located?
Like away from everything, California.
Gotcha.
So he's able to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course that's me just playing around like the tomato fight. But he was the first researcher, and this is, you know, peer-reviewed science, or the scientific method is to have an hypothesis, do it, and then publish the results, and then if it's good results, do it again. Could it happen here in New Jersey the way that it happens in the foothills of California? Maybe not. There's too many people. There's too many swarms.
There's too many houses using chem for their lawns, and
there's too many beekeepers that are not on board. Could be another thing. So he had control over everything. The drone populations, the bees that his queens breed with were the ones that survived winter last year. So like there's genetics from last year being dragged over, and it's just moving a bell curve over. Because he had control over the entire bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
In New Jersey, we don't have control over the entire bell curve.
You got a wing and a prayer. You're just
Yeah.
like, maybe you'll do some good, maybe you
Yeah,
won't.
because you're only controlling one side of it. Whereas if you had, you know, a bigger operation, I would do it 1,000 hives in a big operation, and then just kind of give queens to New Jersey residents. You know.
What is it like working with other beekeepers? Are they generally friendly and collaborative and cooperative, or is it territorial and?
There's a sense of territorialness in both the marketplace and in I don't see it with bees, but I do see it in the marketplace, you know, and that's an extraordinarily frustrating thing with me. Like, I left the Denville Farmers Market because there's 3 other people selling honey.
Really? Not as their primary product, or
Not
as like an add-on?
like an add-on. And
That's tough.
the market manager didn't really want to do anything about it.
So it's like they're already going to go there and buy a pepper, and you know they're going to slap honey on it while they're at there instead of coming to me.
Yeah, maybe. And like, even if their sales are just like real low, it's something. It's just one thing.
And also, is that even their honey? Because it's one thing to sell, it's one thing to allow a vendor to sell that honey if they produced it, but if they're just buying in another product that's competing with a vendor here, then that's like
and then
too far.
Like my local honey is defined as honey from the region like Sussex County. I buy in some honey because I had a poor production year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I buy in honey from New York and Pennsylvania. You know, a collective 10,000 hives, 15,000 hives. I don't know how much of, you know, his honey I'm buying. Percentage-wise, I'm probably a small customer of his. To me, he's a huge vendor, you know. But those are the bees that I would use in the study. You know, it's this is local honey and it's from that, and this is the purchase. The purchase is doing this for that beekeeper. You want to save the bees? Whose bees? The bees that produce this jar of honey. is like the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a sense of territorialness that he sees that I don't see at all. Of like, you start talking about how you're doing something good, you might have some beekeeper show up in your backyard and put 50 hives.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, there's only so much nectar around.
Well, not only that, I've heard beekeepers having theft become an issue. People stealing hives and supers, and which is wild. Like, who rolls up onto somebody else's hive? So, I got a buddy who's a beekeeper, and he actually will camouflage wherever he's got hives. He just camouflages them now, so people can't see. So if you were able to see it from the road, now they're going to be like behind some shrubbery or.
Yeah.
It's wild. Who would steal?
There's people that steal anything. I hate that. I hate thieves. Yeah, there's like that's a. How do you not? I don't know. Stress about it.
I get a couple of ears of corn. If you're on the side of the road and some knucklehead wants to roll out and, they take a couple of ears of sweet corn, it's one thing. But to actually steal your equipment and your supplies, damn you to hell.
Yeah.
Man.
Even I would say even an ear of corn. Like, where would I leave the $5? Where would I leave a couple dollars?
Mm-hmm.
I would only take the ears of corn from people that I know. Remember there was a farm in Mawa. I think the problem was that people were hiking through and then taking tomatoes.
Really?
And they had a CSA. It switched from being like a place of food, and then it was a CSA, so they were accounted for. Somebody paid for that.
Yeah.
Because if like the CSA is the entire block, all that production is shared amongst this 150 people. Yeah, I don't know. My crop is protected by flying stinging insects.
Yeah.
But I do have some theft here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the honor stand.
Set up a camera. And the people that do that kind of thing are losers.
Any repeat offenders or?
I don't know. I set up cameras and I haven't had anything since then.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, I don't know what's the politically correct word for a bum.
Yeah, no bum.
Yeah, fucking bum. Like I have this one guy that like in the middle of the night was screaming like, "F you, mother, blah 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 blah."
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, did I just hear that?
At the camera?
No, this was before the camera.
Mm.
This is what got me the camera. And I was like, what was that? It was I call him the crackhead. He's not a crack. I don't know what the drug is, but he's. I didn't give him a ride 2 years ago. Yeah. His friend was also out on it, and I had him do like piecework. Jar of honey. I'll give you 10 cents for every jar you pour.
Gotcha.
If I poured it at 10 cents a jar, I can make $30 an hour. Whatever 10 cents is. It might have been more than that. I don't remember. But my setup, you can make good money.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and the state allows you to hire somebody for like contract work up until $600 cash.
Mm-hmm.
That's $600, but I'm not going to give it to you. But I have work to do. My work, and then he wanted to be on his phone, and he didn't make $30 an hour.
I see.
Yeah, he was only making $5 an hour. But you
that's
could.
That's your fault.
Yeah, because he's on the phone. Every time I walk back there, he was like smoking a cigarette or on the phone.
How'd you find this person?
I don't know.
Just walking down the street?
Not walking down the
I was
street.
going to say, you don't hire people just walking down the street?
No, it was through a friend from church.
Mm.
Has those programs for people
you
who
want
want to get back on their feet.
Out.
Yeah, Kim recommended.
Especially when it's like not a huge investment. Like you can show up, just jar some money. Simple, easy.
I was like, hey Bill, do you have anybody that wants to work piecework? And he's like, yeah, I got this guy.
Easy as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. You gotta teach this one how to jar up some money.
I want to get her to like Arda, and then have her bring me a box. And Arda is like, Supposedly that's an Irish word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ardagh.
Or dog.
Ardagh. What does it stand for?
I don't know.
Ardagh?
I'd say box.
Box.
Means Ardagh and Ardagh is box in Irish.
Oh really?
I don't know.
Oh, you're just making that up.
Yeah.
Alright. That's gotta mean something.
Yeah.
But
Ardagh is a town in Ireland.
Mm.
It's got this like cathedral spot where the Irish pagans celebrated, and then the Catholics celebrated. So there's a Catholic cathedral
Okay.
there, and it was continuously a place of worship. There's on the island during probably like maybe the solstices, who knows,
Mm.
but
Hundreds and hundreds of years.
yeah,
Put you to work, little mama.
they have that. They just found it too, the New Grange, stone structures from who knows. How did they get them here? Like the Egyptian pyramids. It's like, that's the aliens. Like, is that the joke? I don't know. I don't know actually how they built the pyramids. Same way Newgrange is 52 huge boulders that are completely oriented so that there's the gap between two of them. The sun from the rising summer or winter solstice sun at first light shines like 40 feet down a pathway to illuminate a stone.
Probably a piece of quartz.
Whatever it was. Yeah. But it's like, just to move these rocks all the way down, like, what piece of machinery was around
Giants.
5,000 years ago?
Probably something with water.
Or they just chanted and it vibrated.
You ever see how they use water to jack up big trucks or tractors stuck out in the field? It's like this giant ladder.
Uh-huh.
If you have enough water pressure, it'll just lift the whole thing. That stuff, it's so simple, but it blows my mind when it's so effective. Simple solutions kind of, always the chosen route.
It's basically like, if you ask me how they actually did it, I'd say you had there was a group of people that were completely in line with themselves. And they did it as a collective. And then they did a crazy project. They harmonized themselves with the bee. And then that's why the varroa mite's a non-issue anymore. Some of the really cool research from before the varroa mite, it was the tracheal mite.
Never heard of that.
Because it's a non-issue now. And it was bred. It was easily bred out. The solution, just pick the best ones and you're bleeding against the tracheal mites, and it's a non-issue in most of our populations. One of the guys that did that was Brother Adam of Buckfast Abbey.
Where's that?
It's in the British Isles.
Okay.
And it's a monk that kept bees. And
Just
yeah.
Supremely interested.
Yeah. Interested in the industry that the bee has, and he was a honey producer. And he produced a bunch of honey for his time. And bred bees. That's correct. Yeah.
Did you ever make mead?
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff going.
Oh, that's what we're looking at.
All of that water that I just drank, I have to pee.
There you go.
Extraordinarily.
Pineapple mead action?
Yeah, pineapple skins.
Wicked.
It's just honey water. 3 pounds of honey to a gallon of water.
Mm-hmm.
Poured over pineapple, just because. Concord grape and pawpaws.
Oh.
So this is the Concord grape. This is the pawpaw one.
Well, that'll turn out.
I haven't tried it.
How long have they been brewing? Around.
Don't take good notes on that one. Probably about a month.
Okay.
Well, no, more than that. It was pawpaws. I had fresh pawpaw pulp.
So September, late August, September.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah. That mead's cool.
The pawpaw, dude, that's the coolest plant.
You like it?
I love it.
Everybody's going crazy over it. We got people driving down from Connecticut, New Hampshire to come to pawpaw events down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
I saved a bunch of seed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was your event.
Yeah, Charlie West.
Charlie West,
He's
dude.
the man. Love him.
I'm gonna grow out a bunch of his fruit. During your event, he said, "Yeah, this one's got big fruit, but it's seedy. You know, somebody should work on that." I was like,
I'll do it.
"That's so cool." That was a wild thing to say, you know. He just dropped it, and I bought a bunch of pawpaws from Forge Feast.
Yeah.
And they actually collected seed for me from their customers, like, hey, save those seeds.
Look it.
And
Dan's a good guy.
Dan's the owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. I've only met him a couple times. And then from Charlie. And then that seed, that tree.
Mm-hmm.
I got like maybe 5 fruit from that tree. So I have that marked. I have that tree from West.
What was it, Potomac?
No, it was one that, like, he had a whole story behind it too.
Hmm.
And it was like he was driving in South Carolina and with his sons. He just pulled over to the side of the road, and there was a nursery on the side of the road, and the guy was selling pawpaws, saplings. And he thought it was cool. Because he was probably an interesting guy for his entire life. I got that vibe.
Oh yeah.
I got just a sense that he's just a very, very interesting person.
He's awesome.
Maybe I'll get him to come up here.
Invite.
So I can talk for 5 hours about pawpaws. And he got that tree, and that tree he planted, and that tree has these big fruit that somebody should work on. And I have probably like 150 seeds that would be cool to grow out. And then put them somewhere, put them in a patch, they graft off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you can probably like maintain an orchard of like 100 trees. And then one is not what you want, you just cut that down and graft from one that you want.
And you need cross-pollination anyway.
You need cross-pollination. Exactly. And just to do it. If I was to do it though, I would want like a large fruit with like a good fruit to seed ratio per pound. Because I think the place of it is really in beverage. Like a beer, like a sour.
Or frozen custard.
A frozen custard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pulp. To sell a fruit to somebody, like an apple, no, it goes bad too much, and people don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
So.
Take it beyond a novelty. And
Exactly, yeah. And, well, this guy, Aaron, from Twin Souls Brewery, he made a sour with it.
Pennsylvania, or Doylestown area?
No, actually, I don't think they're open yet.
Okay.
He didn't do that cider for Twin Souls. He did it for somebody else. This is his brand.
Gotcha.
But him and his wife at Twin Souls Brewery. I want to freaking supply him with the pawpaws because West did.
Are they nearby or?
They're wherever they can find a spot to put down.
Okay. Huh. There's somebody open a brewery every other day anymore.
Yeah. Huh.
A lot of good beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to get somebody to play ball with you. You got to bring the heat with the pawpaws. You know, have it ahead of time. Know when you're going to be harvesting. Get them on board in their brewing schedule. But
Exactly.
they want it. Talked to a couple of brewers. They were like, "Yeah, we'll take it, but we just need somebody to get us what we need
when we need it."
Yeah.
Like Isabel works for a farm that has a kitchen, and the chefs need to make a menu, and so it can't not be there or can't not look great. There's very few substitutions that you're allowed to have here because I'm running a menu that I'm trying to land well.
Can't put seedy oregano in.
Not even just that, like there's something to making the same thing every Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a kitchen restaurant situation. So you need to get enough of it to last the weekend. And you can change up like whatever kale, whatever green, rotating green, but with the person that's just cooking at their home, you know, they can just do a chicken stock instead of a beef stock, whatever it was. And then she was a liaison between farm and kitchen, working in the kitchen over the winter, and then and working in the farm in the summer.
I like that. I'd like to do that. Sounds fun. Best of both worlds, you know? How'd you meet her?
Through Mevo.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Way back in the day, like 10 years ago.
Been involved with Mevo much?
Not
Seem
really.
like nice folks.
Yeah, that was the organization that showed me bees for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Eric? Was it Eric that gave you like a beekeeping demo back in the day or
That
something?
guy, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
And the story is that I went to a talk on rain gardens at the water company when I was just out of high school at Bergen Community. And I don't know where I saw it, maybe in the paper or whatever, but went to a talk on rain gardens, and the next guy was a beekeeper. I was like, that's cool. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And the rest was history.
So then just bought like one hive and then just kept
Yeah.
scaling up and
Exactly.
then like, shit, I gotta make a business out of this now.
Well, yeah, it did snowball like that. That was probably in August. When bought a book, The Backyard of Beekeeping, that green one, this green one here,
Yeah.
and then I was working a retail job that I was able to just sit there and read. You can't be on your phone, but you can read. And I read bought another book. And then that spring, we got 2 hives, my father and I. And then we were given a mentor through the New Jersey Beekeeping Association.
Nice.
And John Gotti's the guy that I still reach out to, you know, and talk to. We put on a conference every year. And then somebody asked me to buy a jar of honey. So I was like, sure. And when you sell a jar of honey,
Switch flips.
when you sell something, you have a
Yeah.
business, and then it's like, whoa, I had like 100 people ask me for a jar of honey. If I just sold that 100 people that jar of honey,
Scheming.
I could make a couple bucks, and I did though. Buying local honey and reselling it.
How long did it take you to phase out retail work and then phase in full time to the farm? You're full time on the farm?
This is
Date there, yeah.
this is my full-time
Yeah.
gig.
How long did it take to scale up to that point where you could safely
So I would say maybe I'm not safely.
Well, no farm's ever really safely.
Yeah. Probably year 5,
Okay.
4. I worked for the transition was I was working for another beekeeper,
That's the way to do it.
and
learn on somebody else's dime.
going to doing like her farmer's market, and I had a summer gig working for the DBW for the local town.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that dropped off, I had only that kind of ended, so I was like only part-time with the other beekeeper, part-time for myself. And then COVID hit, and I was full-time with myself. Because COVID was like a sales bump.
Oh, it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't making money during the pandemic, I don't know what you were doing, because people were fighting for the opportunity to purchase local food. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah, so that kind of like into
Yeah.
the fire of it, so then I was able to take it full-time there. Yeah.
Was that scary to jump like that?
Well, yeah, it's still
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still terrified.
Stay terrified.
Yeah, because it's like, where does the dollar come from every day?
Well, you can there's always jobs out there, but if you don't have to go back to that, then that's, it's ideal. But
Exactly.
what does business look like in 2025 for you? Are you scaling up in any specific products or ways, or?
2025 really needs to be the year that the energy that I bring, I need to own the land underneath me.
Mm-hmm.
I need a 99-year contract, or I need to own it. I need a mortgage. Because I'm renting here for 3 years. I almost bought it.
Why don't you get on with that food shed?
They don't have a spot right now.
Okay.
Once something opens, I'm sure, hopefully I get a call. I call them every... I stay in touch. I stay in touch with Eric Derby.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be building a store up there.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm renting here, there's going to be a store up there, that's going to sell River Valley Community Grains.
True.
Because why wouldn't you want to sell the best grains in New Jersey? You would sell it there.
It's gonna pull the rug from under your feet a bit here.
Exactly. So I'm the egg before their chicken. And so I need to move the retail, or I need to completely pivot. And it's almost a good thing. Because it's like, the retail, me being here, has been a drain. The mental.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to focus on the bees. I'd like to focus on that study that I just said. Like, I would like to do that. Could we get $5 a jar over this many jars that want to save the bees that way? I think so. Did a Kickstarter last year, and those that interacted with the project funded the project, but I was asking too much for a Kickstarter like that. I didn't have enough eyeballs to start.
Oh, because Kickstarter, you have to reach the goal to get to funding.
You need to reach. So, you need to start with 10,000 people that want to hear about it when it's launched. Yeah. So in that 60 days, you get it. You can see through the computer that the people that clicked on it and saw the story, saw what I wanted to do, they bought it. They said, yeah, I'll take a sampler box for $40. And I'm paying for the honey that isn't produced yet.
Yeah.
And so there was one option there that was for $40 you get honey for the next 3 years. 1 jar for the next 3 years. You're just paying for the honey in 3 years, 2 years, and this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to buy 200 hives of bees, and I'm going to do this, and this with them. And then I'll harvest the honey. Your honey here, that'll be yours. And there's a ton of interest. I'm not a marketing guy.
Well, it's hard to get out in front of a lot of eyes, too, because everyone's fighting for, view.
Uh-huh.
There's so much competition on the screen. It's like, you get fatigued even just looking at, your emails. Like, how many people are just dumping into your inbox? Support us, support us, support us, support us, support us. It's like, God, leave me alone. But then when you actually do want to go out and get support, it's diluted You just drown in the mass of other organizations asking for help and donations.
That's why, like, there's a tie to it. You know, the honey is coming from these bees, and this is what we're doing with it. This honey does this. Like I'm a 1 degree of separation from you and the bee, and there's that connection. You want to meet the bees? I do this day, and this day. Come out and meet the bees. See the honey. 2025, I need to get into a place that, like 800 square foot minimum barn, with the nice floor, insulated walls, and take a tour through. You know.
See the whole process and extract and process.
Yeah. So like right now, where I harvest honey, is, you know, the sanitary environment that's needed, but it's no fire code worthy thing. You know, I'm not gonna hire anybody because they'd call OSHA.
And you're not gonna open up to the public if it's not.
I'm not gonna call OSHA on myself.
Yeah.
But I can't have somebody working there because they would. You know, I'm doing the twist and lifting the way that you're not allowed to.
How far out do you want to go? You want to stay local to?
I'd love to stay local here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where it needs to be. You know, New Jersey. It needs to be in New Jersey because that's where I'm a New Jersey guy. You know, looking at Sussex County just because I like it out here. You know, there's. I don't know, you're talking to a realtor about like maybe a 3-acre spot. If I can put a barn there, you know, I'll just get a loan for more.
Put a barn and a trailer and rock out, man. You know.
Yeah, but it needs to like the barn and the trailer. Exactly. I can live in a trailer. Yeah. Like, but I need to own the land. If I'm gonna live in a trailer, I want to own the land underneath. You know, that's I'm not gonna be renting somebody and living in a trailer.
No. But you go on Marketplace, there's all kinds of RVs.
Yeah, they're sick.
You can get so much for your money when it comes to like RVs or trailers anymore. It's wild.
Exactly. And you talk about a hobby. If I owned the property and just had a barn built, the hobby would be to build a house. You ever see the Foxfire books?
Oh, I love those.
I found one, and it's like how to build a log cabin.
Go for it.
That'd be cool.
Go for it.
Yeah, like I don't think it would be a log cabin.
And to be able to say you built this with your hands, like, come on.
And I'm not a woodworker, but I'm not an electrician. But I know the tools of each. You know, then you guys. When I have a question, on Wednesday at 9:00. Who was that? Scott.
He's
dude.
the man.
Scott's the man.
He knows everything.
Twice.
Ugh.
Twice you guys helped me out with my barn fuse blew. I'm like, fuck, what's the fuse? And electricity scares me. And so I just had the breaker off for so long. That's why we ran out of honey. That's why orders weren't being delivered. And because I wasn't pouring it. It's like the fuse blows. Why? And well, I ran another wire, and mice eat the wire.
Oh, gotcha.
And so everything was squared away, done well, but mice eat rotters.
Everything.
Yeah. So Scott was like, "Yeah, did you use the reinforced wire? No. Yeah, mice. So all right, then disconnected what we put in. Now I have lights. Now I can do it.
Oh yeah.
You know." So I had to do electrician stuff.
You learn by doing.
You learn by doing. And that'd be cool. But
Well, and then you can use the barn for education.